Hey, Build Show Network. Steve Basic, live from the job site out here. This is a project I'm doing with Shoreline Builders, and I'm actually standing in the living room, family room, and I'm looking across here into the kitchen. And to give you a quick sense of where we are, we have a little buffet here. We have an intermediate island. Then we have cabinetry along that back wall where the stove and stove hood is going to be. There's a little buffet over here that keeps that open above to the dining room. And then down the side here with the windows, we have the kitchen sink and refrigerator, dishwasher. So that's the kitchen layout. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was how do we kind of go from here to the finished kitchen? So you can see Shoreline Builders did a beautiful job. You know, Jim likes doing his mock-ups. So he comes in and he sets some blocks and cuts some foam. And so it really gives the homeowner, I mean, even though it's not filled in, but it gives you a sense of where all your countertops are and how things are going to lay out and how is it going to feel, you know, maneuvering through the space, walking through the space here and getting a feel for, you know, what kind of perspectives. And it does a couple things. One, it is informational, but two, it's just another level of bringing the homeowners into the project and getting them excited. You know, we're not anywhere near putting cabinets in here today, but we're talking about them and we're getting excited because we're talking about how are we going to wrap these columns? What kind of countertop is going to go on there? Are the doors open on both sides or on one side? They can get a feel for that. They can get a feel for when I'm standing at the kitchen sink and I look across, I can look out those windows out the front of the house because that buffet sits down nice and low, or when I'm over here standing at the kitchen stove and I look back, well, I'll be able to see that entertainment center and the big screen TV and then all the windows and then obviously the windows here to the kitchen sink. So we had the meeting, we did our mock-ups, we did all of that. The other thing that I like to do is I like to come in here and you see the electrician already has all the electrical boxes. A lot of them are already set up. So I'm going to go back and we took measurements at each box. You'll see there in the still photos that we have those all laid out. So I'm going to go back to the studio and lay that whole wall out. I'm just going to give you that panoramic view coming back to the wall. So we'll lay out that whole wall and get the cabinets right and the backsplash. So we're missing, you don't want the backsplash coming up and hitting on the edge of the electrical box. We want it to be either cleanly inside the tile or in this case, cleanly outside of the tile. So we get those measurements. I'll go back, refine the final cabinet drawings, and then we'll get those off to the cabinet maker and he can work his magic, get it installed, and we should be spot on. So let's jump back to the studio and let's look at some cabinet elevations.
Hey, everybody. So welcome back to the studio. Hopefully you enjoyed that little tour out there. I grabbed that video. It's out there the other day, and Jim was laying out some mock-ups for the kitchen. One of the things I wanted to point out is I don't want you to think that we did the mock-ups because we didn't know what the kitchen was going to look like, or we didn't know where those outlets and stuff were planned for. All that stuff was certainly planned for, but a little tip is even if it's planned for, you really want to get the clients on stuff that they're going to see and use every day to confirm it, right? So Jim goes through the trouble of making all those mock-ups just so that we can, get a feel for counter height. Is everything on the same level? Because we talked about lowering some of those buffets to 28 inches or 32 inches, 2'8". So we really want to just confirm all that stuff because all that cabinetry is being made here in the next upcoming weeks here. So it wasn't that we were designing on the fly. It's more of confirming on the fly. So anyways, got my good friend out of the bed. If you saw last week, you saw Big Red actually has a bed now. Thanks to my buddy Gray. So anyways, let's break the cap. Let's get out some drawings and let's have at it.
All right, everybody. So
grabbed some drawings here off the plan set. So this is basically the kitchen you can see here. When we were out at the job site, you were seeing there are some columns there, columns here. We had some wall there. This is that triple kitchen window that we talked about. Some more walls here. Color those in. This is that back wall we talked about. There. And then we had some more columns over here. It's actually kind of fun color, no big red. Anyways, we were standing pretty much here, you know, looking this way. We had a bunch of mock-ups. We have a buffet here that it's basically the separator between the family room here and the kitchen, right? But instead of just doing a wall, doing that buffet gives us, you know, these 3 large cabinets there that she can use for storage when she has parties or dinner parties and stuff. You have that surface there that, you know, you can set up things like a bar or put out some appetizers, whatever it is. You know, they like to entertain. Down this side here, we have some cabinetry. That's where we talked about the sink going. Of course, the dishwasher oil company, refrigerators tucked in the corner there. And then on this head wall, we have the range going there with some associative cabinetry. And, you know, notice that's all centered down there. This is the island. It's relatively simple. It's right around 9 feet, and you have some cabinetry below that. And then we took that same buffet with the 2 column details, and we have that over here. So there's that buffet over here, and it's the same thing. You can put stuff down here while you're having a great big dinner. Notice that the dining room here was designed that, you know, for daily use. You have the smaller table, but it could certainly expand into that larger table. And then in, you know, as far as elevating the trim package there and the experience in the dining room, we did a series of coffer there that run through there, and maybe we'll do a video just on that, because there's quite a bit happening there, so you can check that out. But getting back to the kitchen, so we have buffet, island. These are all at the same elevation, right, of 36 inches, which is your standard countertop height, and the other ones are 36 inches too. As for uppers, we only have uppers there, uppers there. So we don't have a whole lot. She didn't want a lot of uppers, but what we do have is right around the corner from the kitchen, we have a very large pantry here that has, I don't know, we're probably on the order of 9 feet of shelving down both sides and another 4.5 feet there. So, you know, we're up there around the 22-foot plus mark for linear shelving, and if you figure 4 shelves go in there, you know, that puts you at 88 feet. That's a lot of upper cabinetry just in that one pantry. And the thing that I like about pantries as opposed to kitchen cabinets is the visual access. I walk in there and I look, I get to see everything. The cabinets, I got to open and close doors to find what I want, but in there, you walk in, you see it, you grab it, you come back out into the kitchen and you do your thing. All right. The other thing about this is, you know, we have some pretty ample circulation. You can see here, you can come in from the mudroom or the garage and bring groceries in and stage them. We have, you know, access through the kitchen here, although this one here is more reserved for the cook space. So, ye non-cooks. circulate around there, and then of course here and in here to the dining room, and you can still get to the front hall here. So it gives that sense of freedom, nice open floor plan, but we still have a series of components, columns, buffets here to really help define the kitchen from the family room and the kitchen from the dining room, even though that plan is as wide open as it is. You get a very strong sense of where the kitchen is. So I'm going to break out another drawing here. This is that wall that we talked about. You saw there when I flashed across the wall, we actually took measurements of all the outlets. Now we have an electrical plan. We plan on where these go, but they also get determined by, hey, where are the studs? Where can we put some blocking? Where can we add these outlets and stuff? So the big thing is the line of tile, end of cabinetry. You don't want them landing on an outlet box. So we want to miss that. And so we plan for that. We have the overhang there, and the tile backsplash will come down to the edge of the countertop, which is right there. And right there, you can see the range here. We have some 30-inch cabinetry on each side. We have these nice little feet that our cabinet maker will add to those, give them a nice little look. And we'll do a video on the finished cabinetry as it gets installed. And then in here, I always have the question to clients, I call it a furniture hood versus kind of the industrial standalone hood, right? The one where it's a big piece of stainless steel kind of cabinet hood, and it goes up through a stainless steel pipe into the ceiling. In this case here, the cabinet maker is actually making this whole cabinet here, and its sole purpose is to house the fan unit inside it here. So he cuts a hole in that soffit, and that gets installed, and then the ductwork will rise up here and goes out through the wall on the side of the house there. But all of these things have to be planned, right? Where does this ductwork go? Where do these outlets, how do they relate to the tile backsplash? And how does the hood relate to the stove? In this case here, we have these nice corbels on each side that, this cabinet here, coastline from the other cabinet, you can see there's an additional space here. That's intentional so that this crown molding on the hood has something to return into, given that the face of this is probably about 6 inches in front of the face of that cabinet. So we want that, all of our trim, to turn the corner and go in. If we just did a standard door and pulled that tight up to that 3/4 of an inch, then we'd have an issue there with that molding. So I'd like to tell you that I knew that all the time, but we probably screwed it up here 25 years ago working with the cabinet guy, and he set me straight, and now I plan for that. So these little things of experience come into play, as well as collaborating with people like my cabinet guy. I've probably done no less than 100 kitchens with him. So we're very much in tune to how I think and what I'm looking for and what his capabilities are and such. So, but anyways, all of this stuff, it gets planned out. We're out at the job site. We measure these up so we can verify it. I put them against the original interior elevations there, and yeah, we might scoot this cabinet in, an inch or two, just to make sure that we're falling in between on those electrical outlets. So anyways, that's everything about the kitchen layout. So thanks for joining us out here. Well, there you have it. Big Red working overtime, and some little snippets, tips of how we do things in the kitchen. So That's it for this week. If you're looking for more, you can find me on Instagram, Steve Basic Architect. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook too, so you can find us there. Links to videos, all kinds of good stuff. If you want to hear me talk on building science a little bit more, join the Unbuild It podcast, where I team up with good friends Peter Yost and Jake Bruton. And we talk about all kinds of good stuff. Books we read, to building science, to, how do we waterproof the foundation. So all kinds of great topics there. And we're on YouTube now. So not only do you get to listen to it, but you get to see all the behind the scenes antics there of those guys trying to beat me up. So, I won't let them in on that. Also on Instagram, follow my daughter, Alexandra Bazek. She's putting up good stuff. And lastly, go check out the rest of the Build Show. I mean, I have well over a year's worth of videos, so all kinds of great stuff. We have some pretty extraordinary stuff coming up. And get my good friends, Matt, Wade, Jake, and Brent. And we have a bunch of new people, right? Drywall Shorty, Detmore, Mechanical Hub, and Design Build Doug. So that's one hell of a team there. The science says you got to watch the video 7 times. So 7 times 8, that's 56 views a week right there. So have at it. Go check it out. We're there. Until next time, long live our buildings.